G'day, this big bastard is done. So this is part 2, which I'm just going to show you how I built the slab top. So the waterfall edge that runs across the top. So there's 3.6 meters of continuous slab made up of my little brickwork technique. I'll show you how I did it.
Alrighty, so step 1 is obviously always to pull some pallets apart. The only reason I'm showing you this is because occasionally people like to tell me that I'm not using pallets. So here they are, pallets. So get yourself a pallet buster, make your life a lot easier to get these things ripped down. I've rough cut all my slats to about the same length. So I'm now just using a straight edge and I'm going to sort all this timber into 2 piles. So stuff that has a nice straight edge, that can go straight through the table saw. Everything else that's bowed and wonky, that needs to go onto a straightening jig. Also checking that there is no metal. So I got myself this metal detector. Took me a fair bit to work out that it's actually picking up the metal in my wedding ring. So it kept going off, but it's going off on my hand. Dickhead. Anyway, here's the straightening jig. All seen this one before if you watched any of my videos, but this thing is a must when you're working with pallet wood. It's going to let you use heaps more stock and get it to a nice square flat edge so it's more usable. Okay, here's a step that I don't normally do. I'm actually running all the slats through the thicknesser to get a nice gluing surface. In the past, I've never done that. I've just glued up the rough, dirty pallet slat face, but I always rely on some other structure to hold all this together, and just something else I've just decided to do because I've got the time, and why not? Okay, glue ups, clamp ups, very exciting stuff. So got a few different camera angles just to make it a little bit more exciting. But I will point out again, as I always do, this is a cheap PVA glue. I get it from Bunnings. It's only about 28 bucks for 4 litres. I use heaps of it, so I don't waste my money on the good tight bond stuff, which I use for anything structural. Anyway, glue, clamp, and get myself some slabs. That's the long part of this job. Then comes the fun stuff. Alrighty, fun stuff, using machines and tools. This is my thicknesser, love it. So I'll flatten everything, get everything to the same thickness. There'll always be one dodgy side. That'll just save me some blades, and it's going to be on the underside of the bench, so it's all good. Okay, so here's all my timber. Nowhere near enough, but anyway, we'll get back to that later. So all these slabs, they go back onto my straightening jig, and again, this is why I went with this particular design. I'm actually going to build the other type with the little toggle clamps in the near future just for the slats, but this one is perfect for giving these slabs their first straight edge, so then I can start running them through the table saw to all the same width, just like this, and that's basically going to give me my bricks. So bricks made out of long pallet wood. And then I'm going to do the bricklaying technique to make up this slab. I'm going to do a waterfall edge on this particular slab, so there's going to be about 3.6 meters of continuous slab. So I'm going to start with the edge piece, and to get that stagger going of the brickwork, I'll basically chop a few pieces to different sizes so you can see that stagger, and that'll let me then go ahead and build the side and then head across the top. So I'll just glue and clamp that together and then get it all ready to cut the miters. Okay, I'm going to cut the miters on this waterfall. So this is the technique I've come up with. I just chuck a bit of board on to get a nice square edge so I can run that first board through. I'll just cut it down the middle at 90 degrees before I go ahead and set my miter saw up to the 45 to cut the miter. Now this all looks pretty cool, all going to plan, cutting the miter, but this is the one job that has given me a load of grief. But basically this is the technique. Cut your first 45, whip the board off, chuck it on the other side, cut your second 45 and you have a nice miter with a nice waterfall. Saying that, I had to have several goes at this. I think my table saw was out of whack, which I've done all that garbage off camera, but that's the process. That's what we're going for. It just wasn't quite 90 degrees. I wasn't quite happy. So I just made a heap of changes, got the table saw tuned in, so I got it looking smicko. Right, with the looking smicko, I could then glue it up. So I'll just glue the 45 and clamp it up. I had my mate make me up a few of these corner clamps because again, I've had grief getting these things clamped up at a nice 90 degree. So I got him to make these up just to clamp it and hold it into place. So again, I guarantee that nice 90 degree joint. Alrighty, so then I just go ahead and start the brickwork. So I'm going to do the side piece first so I can get that all glued and clamped and cleaned up because I don't want to have to try and flip this massive bench on its side to sand it. So I'll whip the end off, get it to the right height, clean it up, and that part is done before we can start working on the top, which is what I'm doing here. So as you can see, I'll just lay it out, check it all out, see what looks good, trying to get a good random mix of all these pallet wood colours. So I put the slab on hold from there and I decided to finish the frame before I went ahead and continued the brickwork across the top because there was a real good chance it was going to go wonky donkey. Didn't want that. With the frame done, which I've done a video on that one, you can go back and check that out. Then I've got that guaranteed nice long flat surface. I laid down the greaseproof paper so I could pull this apart at the end, and then it was just a matter of laying all those bricks again, making it nice and random, making everything fit. Occasionally chucking a piece into the belt sander if it didn't quite fit, but generally they're all cut the same size, so they all fit in pretty snug with a little bit of a tap of the old mallet and you're good to go. So I'll put a few screws underneath using the clamps. I want that front edge perfectly straight, so that's the main objective. So then the rest of the brickwork can fall into place. All right, this is what not owning a plane looks like. A hand plane. Anyway, again, does the job and just belt it into place with a mallet like this. Tap, 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 tap. Alrighty, so I probably should have taken a little bit more off, but I got it in there in the end. And it is, and it's in, beauty. All right, clean that glue off and we're done. All right, here it is, slab top, bricks laid. It's 2.7 metres across the top, plus the 90 centimetre waterfall edge. Okay, again, whip the end off with the circular saw, and then it's time to clean it all up. Belt sander, my favourite. So I just grab a straight edge, just go over with the eyeball, make sure there's no high spots, low spots, and then I can basically go ahead and tidy it all up some more with an Orbital Sander. Orbital Sander, and this is where it really starts to look like a piece of furniture that I'm happy with. So there it is, 2.7 meters. Oh yeah, look at that. Beautiful. Okay, applying a bit of putty, very exciting stuff. In all seriousness, I do get a lot of questions. Do I get a lot of gaps from gluing up pallet wood? The short answer is no, not really, because I clamp the absolute shit out of them and I get most of them out. So there are little imperfections, which that's all good. That's why I use a little bit of putty. Right, okay, going to flip it over. I'm just going to clean up the bottom, get all that grease-proof paper off. But I'm pretty much just getting the glue drips out because you're not going to see it. And then I'll chuck a bit of water-based poly on just to seal it off.
Okay, quick shout out to a bloke that likes it when I say bastard in my videos. His name's Karl. He's got a YouTube channel called Karl Pope Woodwork. Heaps of cool videos, heaps of helpful tips and tricks with everything that he makes. So go and check it out, subscribe, follow along and support more woodworkers. Good on you, champion.
Okay, time to finish. I'll explain what I'm doing in a second, but I think you'll agree that it's starting to look pretty schmick. Anyway, I like it, wife likes it, all good.
Alrighty, so I've just applied a oil-based stain and varnish. It's a walnut, just to darken up this slab top. I've thinned it out with terps, mixed it up in my NutriBullet, and just applied it with a rag. It is just enough to darken it, but keep all that nice slab work, which is the whole point of doing these, in my opinion. Anyway, hopefully the wife likes it. She chose the stain, so it's on her. Done.
Okay, also, now that I'm happy with the colour, I've just thinned out some poly, oil-based poly with terps, pretty much to make my own wipe-on poly. Thanks for the tip. Fix it, fingers. You know that one comes from you, and it's perfect. Works really well, just 3 or 4 coats of that, and job is done. So, here come the photos and the stills to show you how it's all come together. Again, that framework, that's a whole separate video. That was my last one. If you want to check out how I made that, go ahead. Thanks for watching and watching the other one if you have. See you next time.